you in this hour bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, singeth unto me songs of Mother Goddess and of Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are adventuring off into the spaces between, being broadcast live on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, and tune in, TalkStream Live, and also on YouTube World. So, hello, YouTube. No matter how you are listening to me, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button if you're on YouTube, or just stop in and say hello. So, yeah, nice to see y'all. And I just want to thank you for joining me on my journey. And I hope you will continue, tuning in to hear me chat about the things I encounter. So, if you do want to support the show, the Etsy store is up for the rest of the month. And I need to renew some things in there apparently. And also, the website is www.thespacesbetween.live. So, in the chat rooms, I see Brent and Renee. Hello, Renee. Hi, Brent. How are you? And also, I see Black Tree, and hello, Sonia, and Lisa, and Cameron. Hello, hello. And Julia, thank you for joining. And yeah, hats. Yay, Sonia, thank you for joining. So, yeah, just been kind of an adventurous week. So I for those who know, I started a new job helping people, and I really am enjoying my job. So I think that's good. I do actually. I have an office, which is nice. I have my own heater. It's even nicer because my personal temperature tends to vary just a little bit. Some days I'm quite chilled, and other days I can open the window, so it's good. So, yeah, it's all good. So the show tonight, we are talking about spirit guides. Just a bit is my plan. But if y'all wanted to call in, that is absolutely fine. The number is 213-233-3998. Or if you're in the UK, it is 44203-393-2871. And if you don't want to call, if you'd rather send an email, it's wildpaisley@gmail.com. That's WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. So yeah, that's me. And I don't know if y'all listen to Paranormal Portal, but for those of you who do, Deb Varner was on live last week doing free readings like she does kind of the full moon Friday. And so I called in because it was my birthday, and I figured I'd get a reading too. And mostly it said I was going to be very busy in the next couple months, and there wasn't really a lot more direction on that other than, yep, it's got a lot going on, and avoid crowds as much as possible, which I generally do avoid crowds. Anyway, so I touched base with Deb later because I was kind of curious, is there anything more that she could give me? Because sometimes there's something she just doesn't want to talk about live on air, which I appreciate. And she said mostly I just needed to touch base with my spirit guides. Well, that's great. I'm trying. I'm not as good at it as I could be, and so I figured, you know what? Let's research spirit guides just a little bit, and kind of see what's going on. So, and it was interesting actually. Some of it I kind of knew. Some of it I kind of didn't. But I think it's all good. I really do. I like getting new information. So basically, spirit guides are kind of a universal force or forces that are here to help us. And a spirit guide could be an angel, an animal, a mythical creature, ancestor, an ancient god or goddess, some otherworldly entity or interdimensional being, or just pretty much almost anything. But at the most basic level, I guess, a spirit guide is a type of energy that is embodied in a different form, and they're often part of the archetypical forces. Basically, they can teach, warn, support, comfort, remind, or even reveal things that we might need to know in order to grow. Because, I don't know about anybody else, but occasionally I need a good, firm push to take that next step in my growth, if you will. So, is there, do they exist in other dimensions, or are they just inside our mind? Some of that don't really have an answer for, because it does vary with the person just a little bit. But mostly spirit guides are incorporeal beings that are assigned to us before we're born, that help us nudge or guide us through life. And they're often helping us fulfill the spiritual contract we make with ourselves before we become incarnate. So your higher self often helps select these particular guides, and those who help us while we're living out this particular incarnation. So, who are they? Well, guides will often stay with you throughout your entire life. Now, some will pop in and out now and again to help you with specific areas where you might need some extra help, or help you achieve different goals that you are working towards. And the guides also have a varying level of consciousness themselves. Some may be highly ascended masters. Others might be your average spirit who just happens to be a master in a specific area or has a specific task. They could be spirits that had an actual incarnation at one point, or they may be spirits that have never taken that corporeal, I can't talk tonight, sorry guys, form. And you may be the only person that they're guiding, or they may be kind of on the panel, if you will, for other people too. So they could be deceased relatives even, although that's not quite as likely. Oh, I have a dog that's kind of a klutz. Sorry, guys. But when it's time for your spirit guides to help you, they'll tune into your energy and help direct you to fulfill your mission in life, or your goals in life. So, what are they doing? So how do they do it? How do they help us? Well, spirit guides often see the bigger picture. So they know what's going on in our lives. They often know what's going to happen in our lives, and they will, quite frankly, remember more than we do. And so when it's time for them to actually step in and guide, they have some ways to do this. So they can send signs. Maybe they're sending a synchronicity to help alert you to something you need to know or pay attention to. And that's often we see things that we just don't realize are signs until we look back. You may have gut feelings, so our guides can often literally poke us in the gut when we're experiencing something that they want us to pay attention to. So following your gut feelings is something that you really should pay attention to often. So have you ever had that feeling where something bad might happen, but you couldn't quite figure out what it was? Well, that could be your guide kind of poking you, saying, hey, pay attention. You may have intuitive insight. So your guides can send flashes of intuition, which may sound like a voice in your head, like slow down, and then you were almost in a car accident, or maybe your significant other is cheating on you, and and it's just kind of a random thought, but maybe it's real. So that's the intuitive insight. And they're often thoughts that appear to come out of nowhere, but contain important information that you should be noticing. Now, in today's society, many people really tune out their intuition. They get really tied up in the technology of things and they forget to pay attention to what's going on within themselves. But your intuition is really a really valuable source of information. Your guides might send specific people into your life. So sometimes your guides might get together with somebody else's guides and have a powwow or a chat, and together they try to, create a meeting between maybe you and another person, and or maybe you're thinking about someone from college, and there you go, you meet them later in the day. Is it a chance encounter? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you're thinking about moving and you run into a realtor at the grocery store. Often those things that feel like a coincidence are not. Maybe it's more of a setup. Yeah, kind of like the Jedi instincts there, Renee. Um, and so arranging or giving you that nudge. So guides can nudge you in the direction that they think you need to go, or arrange for something to happen to you. For example, maybe you're running late and you can't find your keys and you're frustrated because you need to get somewhere on time. It's happened to me. Or maybe your phone rings and it's an important call that you had missed or not gotten if you'd been in your car driving. Because I don't know about the rest of you, but I don't generally drive and talk on the phone at the same time unless I have the hands free going on. And just, safety and all that. So did you really misplace your keys, or was it your guides that kind of just pushed them out of the way so that you'd take that call? They can only arrange things so much. They can only give you so many nudges, really, or only nudge you so hard. So, make sure you're picking up on the clues and paying attention to them, because sometimes you just need to surrender to a situation that seems really, really, really frustrating. I know that if I'm running behind and it doesn't seem to matter what I'm doing to try to catch up, often there's a really good reason I'm running behind and I just accept it and slow down. So, how do you connect with your guides directly? Wouldn't it be great if, you could just pick up the phone and say, hey, guides, what's going on? Well, some people have developed their skill and their ability to really tune into their guides, like Deb, I think is one of those. It takes a lot of practice. So one way would be really, truly listen to your intuition. Seriously. So that little voice that talks to you, listen to it. Pay attention to it. And if you pay attention to it, journal it. So you can actually, pay attention, and see what kind of results you're getting. Now, the results are not always pleasant if you ignore them. But then, maybe that's what you should have done. But so yeah, listen to your intuition and journal things. Go with your gut, following your gut instincts, journal it down. Anytime you feel that you need to connect, or you are connecting with your guides, by all means, write it down. That way you can kind of track what's happening. Now, and those signs, pay attention to those too. If you see 1111, for instance, regularly, that may be a sign that you need to pay attention to something. Often repeating numbers like that are called angel numbers. Look it up, find out what it means. Absolutely do your research. So if you're trying to figure out, who your guides are, or what, or are they actually trying to touch base with you? There's a couple different schools of thought on trying to find the name of your guide or guides. In some respects, I totally get not wanting to go just, oh, hey, guides, can you help me with this, or what am I supposed to be doing here? Wouldn't it be great to, have a name? It's like, hey John, hey Bob, whatever your name is. So, it may be appropriate to name your guides. It may be inappropriate. You need to really touch base with your intuition and meditate on it seriously before you do, because sometimes you just I don't know. There's a lot of power in a name. You may have ringing in one ear, actually. So the ringing sensation can occur if you're in the moments of high thought or contemplating spiritual questions, or it may occur when you're feeling a very strong high vibration emotion like happiness or compassion or love. And this ringing should be temporary and will endure for about the amount of time it takes for you to recognize its connection to what you're experiencing, and in the moment it occurs. So if you're watching or reading a story or something about a child or a person who takes up a cause to fundraise money, for instance, to help somebody, that feeling of altruism you might get and that appreciation that resonates with you, you may get the ringing in the ear. That's really your guide saying, yep, you need to contribute to this. So now the ringing shouldn't be intrusive or unpleasant, because it's a nudge. That's all it is, just a nudge. Maybe it's a pinpoint of light. You may see an unexpected blue flash of light out of the corner of your eye, or you may see a sphere of spiritual energy, often called an orb, which I know some of you who are listening have seen orbs. The light or orb may be traveling or bobbing about, moving quickly or slowly through your space. And if you participate in prayer or meditation or something like that, you may actually see in your mind's eye a pinpoint of light that lingers long enough for you to acknowledge that it's there, or the light may come simultaneous with your experience, you experiencing the sensation of that higher thought or emotion. Or you may just get the same light feeling, as you're thinking about your guides. So, it should not be persistent. It should not be invasive. If it is, of course, do seek some medical advice. Once you acknowledge your spirit guide, you may see things in threes. 3 is kind of a powerful number. So you may see like 3 birds or 3 feathers or 3 cars of the same type, something like that. So that the repetitive number of the angel numbers. So, pay attention to those also. Sensing a presence. Another sign that your spirit guide is near you, or that you feel that you're not alone. Well, and especially when you are obviously not, around other people. Most often you'll experience this sensation when you're engaged in the act of creating or composing something. So it's a way that our spirit guides might partner with us. They often collaborate in the act of manifesting something that's very useful, has purpose, or has ingenuity. And you maybe feel guided when you are doing something artistic, just in general. Or if you're trying to communicate significant concepts with others, you may find that the proper approach and phrasing of the language will be impressed upon you, which gives you a greater authenticity. Now I'm a kitchen witch, and I'm pretty doggone sure that one of my guides is a kitchen witch as well, or has some sort of affiliation like that. And if I'm cooking and something doesn't taste right, I generally just reach in the cabinet to grab something and season whatever it is I'm cooking. And I'd have to say about 90% of the time it's the right thing to do, whatever it was. And it's also often very intuitive. So I will follow a recipe occasionally, often as more of a guideline than a recipe. There's very, very often there's just some intuitive thing that I feel I need to do to complete cooking whatever it is. Occasionally I just have a total blank and it doesn't work, but generally speaking, I just feel a connection to doing whatever it is I'm doing. So Cameron in chat has just asked, would spirit guides poke you sometimes and crawl into bed with you? I don't know. I have a cat that does that, but I don't think that's quite what you're talking about. Um, so it's is it a so Cameron is just clarifying something's been poking me literally and crawling into bed. Is it like a physical thing or an intangible thing there, Cameron? Um, I don't know. Maybe. And Hi Naysay, how you doing? If you wanted to call in, yeah, absolutely. I can check. We've got about 5 minutes before the break if you wanted to call in beforehand. Also, just real quick in chat, Renee asked predicting the future. That's um, um, harder because I think the future is ever changing. Sometimes it is, or the future is fluid. Um, so you can kind of say, well, this should happen or could happen if you do X, Y, and Z, but it might not. So it all depends on what steps you take in reality. Because there's if you make a left turn instead of a right turn, you may not get the results you were looking for. And they say if you call in, I think my phone isn't working actually now that I'm looking. So you can try, and if I see it, I will answer. Excuse me. So I think conscious thought actually impacts free will. So Cameron, with that clarification, I would say you are being visited, whether it's by a ghost or a guide. I don't know for sure, but I would try to communicate with it just a little bit in a pleasant sort of way. With the veil thinning right now, it's I don't know. That's a little different. But yeah, if you're sensing that kind of a presence and it's not really there, I would probably get out your camera and try to take a video or picture of it, and maybe talk to Don and Brent a bit more about the whole paranormal side of it, because that's interesting, very very interesting. So journaling. Yes, Lisa, smudge and ask questions later. Absolutely. Smudging is a good idea. Journaling is something I generally will recommend anytime that I'm telling you to do something. Write it down. Write a journal. I've got probably 6 notebooks that I write in at any given time. Plus, I think I use the voice recorder on my phone as well, because there's sometimes I just come up with something as I'm driving down the road and I don't want to stop and write it down, so I just turn on the audio recorder. So journaling is a very good thing, and often if you just kind of do a free flow write, brainstorm, whatever, that may be kind of like your guides may be tuning in and helping you focus there just a bit. Sometimes if you type out a question or write down a question and then just meditate on the question and then write the first thing that comes to mind or type out the first thing that comes to mind, they may be actually answering you. Meditation's good. So if you meditate, imagine yourself in a room or garden and ask your guides to come join you and have a seat and chat and see what they say. And every time you do it, that connection will be just a little bit stronger. Keep a dream journal. So one of the best ways to actually meet and connect with your guides is in your dreams. So if you dream about them, by all means, write down your dreams. So it might take a little bit to master the dreams and the lucid dreams, that kind of thing. Practice makes perfect, though, and just keep doing it. You can always ask a psychic, like Deb here last weekend was doing readings for Brent. She also does them, privately. You just got to get a hold of her. Purple Mystic Readings by Deb, and she might be able to help you or give you some guidance. And sometimes it feels like you're just imagining things, and that's true. I get it. But does the advice that you are receiving or the message that you're receiving resonate with you? Does it feel like it's coming from you, or does it feel like it's coming from outside of you? Does it make just really, does it make sense? And if you follow through listening to that advice, what happens? Is it good results? So, anyways, break time. We will see you shortly, and we'll continue talking about spirit guides. This is Paisley Well, and you're listening to Spaces Between.
Lord, within the sun. Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and of Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovely. This is Paisley Wild, and we are adventuring off into the spaces between. Being broadcast live on YouTube and on Truth Frequency Radio tonight. So, hello, hello. Looks like Lisa and Deb have joined us in the chat room, so hello. And Cameron, I hope the advice given to you there is going to work or helps you out. I know that you don't necessarily want the activity to stop, but a little bit of protection does go a long way. A little bit of sage. You don't have to smudge it out, just maybe, talk to it, the entity that you're in, feeling, and, hey, ask, what's your purpose here? So, but we are talking about spirit guides, speaking of, entities and such, and we're kind of moving on to the types, if you will, of the different guides. The very first one, to talk about, really, I guess, would be like the Great Spirit, the gods, the goddesses, that kind of thing. Maybe the infinite spirit, the source, depending on what your tradition might be and your thought process. So gods and goddesses have been worshipped, feared, and written about since just the dawn of time. Stories, yes. They span across every culture, every tradition, and every religion in every part of the world, period. There's common gods and goddesses that might serve as spirit guides. Like Athena, Apollo, Lakshmi, Kuan Yin, Lu, Kali, Hathor, Horus, the Green Man, Selene, etc., etc. So often people have quite a few, or at least one connection to a some sort of higher deity. And so, for the phrase that God works in mysterious ways, well, that's true. So don't expect your answers from a god or goddess or deity to really be straightforward. Just once you've asked for the help or the guidance, watch for signs and signals. To answer your question, Nase, yes, I have heard of Anoka, but I have not actually... I wasn't quite as firmly upon my path when I lived in Minnesota as I am now. So, if that makes any sense. Plants can be guides. So shamans often believe that the world and everything in it is very vibrant and living energy, including plants. So like ayahuasca, for instance, is a psychoactive brew that's made out of a vine commonly found in Peru. And it's just a well-known way of getting in touch with the spirits of nature. So the ayahuasca vine is also known as the vine of the souls, and it's common for those who partake of ayahuasca to feel guided by the plant into the realms of inner and outer existence. So there are, you could say the same for other psychoactive and non-psychoactive plants. And so they can either be symbolic, like in pagan traditions that associate certain qualities with certain plants, or experiential, where you're ingesting the plant might stimulate mental, physical, or emotional expansion. So you may be getting, one of your guides may be your higher self, or perhaps an ascended master. So often your soul has a human experience within your physical body, but it can contain the experience of many lifetimes. So as such, it's a guide that could be a wonderful source of wisdom, and it has just a slightly different viewpoint. your soul will remember the past very well. It's often, that tiny voice inside of you that says to do or not do something. Don't be afraid to listen to it. You can tune into that your own intuition, so you can hear what it has to say. Ascended masters are often beings that have already lived on this earth but have become awakened or enlightened and have transcended the cycle of reincarnation. So, as such, they generally represent the ultimate teachers and gateways to the divine. And it's said that ascended masters, like most spirit guides, teach all people who call on them, so not just you, to achieve greater wholeness and harmony in life. So, common examples could be like Krishna, Jesus, Confucius, Kuthumi, Mary, the mother of Jesus, Babaji, Buddha, etc. So those ascended beings. Now, angels or archangels or light beings. So many people describe light beings or guardian angels as being their spirit guides. Now, light beings are said to help people move through a traumatic area of their life, such as death or loss or grief. And their light beings are called as such because of their tendency to appear, bright or glowing, full of light. And they often will carry out the will of the gods or goddesses as messengers, protectors, or guides. A guardian angel is most commonly known as a specific type of angel. I think most of us have heard of those. And generally speaking, though, angels are considered to be non-denominational, not being associated with any particular religion or belief. Now, archangels are more specialized and are generally more higher level beings. Now, anybody can call upon an archangel, where a guardian angel is generally more individual and personal to you. Mine probably does a lot of face palming and probably drinks a lot of coffee. Just saying. Ancestors. Your ancestors are often just a great resource for information to be passed to you. And they can include people who have passed recently, or just those that you are genetically linked to. So someone from the distant past. Or it could even be someone you have a soul connection with. And sometimes these are people you've never met or never heard of. Excuse me. So they can appear as shadowy beings that feel distinctly familiar. And they might teach you that although you feel alone and isolated in your current family or community, you're part of something larger. And the messages that our ancestors will bring us can often be very beautiful and life-changing. So either way, just be open to sensing their presence through signs like dreams or voices or even butterflies. So power animals or totems. So animals are a very well-known spirit guide, and they've gained a lot of popularity over the past couple years, partly because they're accessible and noticeable in our everyday lives. So some ancient cultures, such as the indigenous Americans or Chinese, have held animals as sacred representations of their tribes or lineages. And power animals, also known as totems, are similar to guardian angels, but they're just in animal form. So your power animal is not an individual animal, rather the collective spirit of that animal. And so it's common for power animals to have individual names. Your power animal or totem may come and go throughout your life depending on your needs. Again, being open and connected to your higher self will allow you to feel the influence of power animals in your life. So, how do you connect? You got these beings out there. How do you connect with them? Well, open yourself up a little bit. Your spirit guides are all around you. They won't impose themselves upon you. Start a dialogue with them. Call upon them when you need them. Have faith. Once you've called upon them, stop worrying. Trust that your guides will deliver, and then help them out energetically by visualizing the outcome that you are hoping for. And stay connected with your spirit. So be grateful for the gifts and blessings that your guides provide, and kind of pay it forward by treating others with love, compassion, and forgiveness. So if you ask your guides for help, say thank you. Be courteous and gracious, and just seriously, a thank you goes a long way. Some folks will do scrying work. It's an ancient divinatory practice of gazing into a reflective surface, such as water, mirrors, or crystal balls, to receive esoteric information. Now, from a psychological perspective, scrying can help get you in touch with your unconscious mind and the important guidance that may be locked within it. Now, it's something that should be practiced consistently. It is not easy. It's not for the novice generally. But if you are a visually based person, so someone who is generally, kind of a visually, you think in pictures more, it may be worth looking into and developing this skill. So in order to, connect with your spirit guide via scrying, set your intention to see your guide. Set your intention first. Intention. It's a good thing. Dream work. Before going to bed, set the intention to see, meet, or speak with your spirit guide in your dreams. And continue for this practice for a period of time, and just see what happens. Write it down in your notebook. You should have a dream notebook. Just saying. And so when you wake up, if there's any strange figures or unusual patterns, that emerge in your dreams, write them down. Keep track of them. And the goal here is to find repetition. What messages or dreams do you keep having over and over again? And sometimes our spirit guides just don't directly reveal themselves, but instead do it symbolically. So take note of any symbols that keep emerging in your dreams. Again, go back to your journal. And so once you have a strong inkling of who or what your guide is, thank them. And then continue to ask for guidance and for their appearance in your dreams before you go to bed. If you do lucid dreaming, that's really another way to connect. Silence your mind, which is not easy. The best ways to connect with your spirit guides is by silencing your mind through practices such as meditation or mindfulness. So just a really quick down and dirty way to do this is sit or lay down in a quiet place. Focus on your back or thighs as they come into contact with the ground. And notice the rising and falling of your chest as you breathe in and out. Listen to the sounds around you and focus on being present in the now. And if you have crazy thoughts or jumping around just a bit like most of us, just go back to your meditation and let your thoughts just be kind of a stream, and watch the thoughts just kind of go through your brain like a silent observer. Don't fight them, just let them happen. And when you feel ready, ask to speak to your spirit guide, and wait, be patient. You may have to do this more than once. Let go of your expectations, because your expectations will block what might actually be able to come through. Yes, naysay. Some spirits are very simple. They don't want to cause that interruption. And yeah. But make sure you're journaling what's going on. Journaling is important. And if you have any problems, make sure that you're writing things down. And don't worry about it, because people have problems journaling. It's normal. And then, just pay attention and practice your journaling as you go. Now, bibliomancy is something that you could do also. It's a practice of seeking spiritual insight by opening a book at a random place. It's a type of divination that was very popular in the Middle Ages. It is an interesting way to gain guidance nowadays. Just pick a book at random, open it up, find a spot. I know some people will use this for the Bible. If they're looking for a specific message from God, they will often use a Bible and look for a specific what's the first verse they see. It's just a way of connecting. Visualization, seriously, a really simple way. honest. Just visualize them. So there's quite a few spirit guide visualizations out there on the internet. Don't be afraid to do your research. Read, because a lot of that research out there is kind of odd. So you might want to create your own visualization by listening to music, or imagine you're walking down a dark staircase into a white room. Just remember, whatever you're doing, set your intention beforehand. Something like, I want to connect with my spirit guide. And no, Renee, I am not drinking water. I'm not sure what I'm drinking, but it's pretty good. It's a Pinot Grigio. Yep, that's good stuff. So, not just going back to the whole plant medicine journey and stuff. That one takes a little bit more commitment. It's not for the faint of heart. And but if you're serious about connecting with your guides, a shamanic journey may be the way to go. Don't do it by yourself. Have someone with you to guide you just a bit. And journal, yes. Trances, and not the genre of music, just trance. So it's a state of mind similar to meditation. It's kind of a half-conscious state, and it's kind of that state of mind that you enter just before you fall asleep. It's called the hypnagogic state. Basically, your mind is open and receptive when you're in a trance, and it no longer has your typical filters that you have in your conscious mind, in your waking reality. So it's a good time to connect with your spirit guides. Now, many ancient cultures used to use trances to connect with the gods, and they use different ways to induce a trance, like self-hypnosis, breathing exercises, relaxing techniques, watching a pendulum, visualization, drumming, dancing, that kind of thing. Peyote, yes, as Don suggests. Nature immersion may be a way. When you take the time to look and pay attention, nature itself is very magical. It's a beautiful place to come into contact with our spirit guides, especially spirit animals or trans-species beings. So find a place outside, sit in a park, by a river or stream, go hiking, look at the clouds, body of water, trees. Do you see faces? What animals keep appearing or seem to be around you? The signs are going to be there. Synchronicity, I mentioned it earlier, but it's just that meaningful coincidence. Have you ever seen repetitive numbers, 3333, 111, 1212, names, other symbols, when they start happening often, pay attention. Often those are carrying important messages. So in order to use synchronicity technique for contacting the spirit world and your guides, set the intention first. Simply, you can say a prayer, an invocation, anything like that. Just, hey, help me to discover my spirit guides or connect with my spirit guides, and send me a sign that I understand or notice eventually. So, looking for unusual, repetitious signs, names, symbols, places that might appear. Keep a notebook. I think I've said keep a notebook a dozen times now. Seriously, keep a notebook. So just keep in mind that spirit guides are just as varied and diverse as human beings are, if not more so, because they could be any form. And it is very, very likely that during your lifetime that you will have more than one type of guide for different purposes and for different lengths of time. And if you seek your guide through meditation, singing, trance, etc., it's comforting that help, in no matter what form, is always there for the acknowledgement. So, when it comes to connecting with your guides, you're going to want to use a couple different techniques or different methods to really find what it is that's going to work best for you. Just like we all learn slightly differently, or we all communicate slightly differently, your guides are going to connect with you slightly differently as well. That's why tarot might be a good thing for you to help you connect with your guides, or runes, or something like that.
Hey, Paisley.
Yes.
How do you know if you have multiple guides? You know, we've talked to our friend Deborah Varner.
Mhm.
Sorry, I've got a piece of pizza in my mouth. We've talked to Deb Varner several times,
Mhm.
and she talks about her guides.
Mhm.
And so, plural, not singular.
Mhm.
Um, how do you know if you've got different guides? I mean, how do they show themselves? Do you have any idea?
Well, if you'd been listening, you would have heard me talk about that earlier.
Actually, my phone's dead, so I wasn't able to listen.
So, um, um,
So this is for the intermediate class right here.
the intermediate class. Um, Mostly, the journaling, the meditation, and the seeking. Like, in talking to Deb, she has told me I have 3 guides.
She told me the same.
Uh,
That I have 3 guides.
Three's a good number. I personally like the number 3. But one of them is a kitchen witch, which is something I identify with as a kitchen witch as well. And I'm pretty sure that Deb says excuses, Don.
Love you, Deb.
So, and Sonia tried to mention something about it earlier, but I think we had a squirrel moment. I'm pretty sure that one of my guides is an elemental of some sort.
Really? So more natural, not actually like a person who's passed on or a human identifying entity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would be a spiritual, woodsy, nymphy kind of thing, huh?
Yeah,
An elemental, yeah.
an elemental.
Yeah.
Not sure about guide number 3, but yeah, I feel pretty confident about the elemental.
I'm going to blow Deb's mind real quick. Deb told me that I have 3 guides as well. I have 2 male and 1 female. She told me the major one seems to be kind of like an old Italian man, an old venter from like the old country, a winemaker, and he's kind of set in his ways, and but he's very gruff, it seems. And then I also have a younger gentleman who's more business minded,
Mm-hmm.
and points me, well, tries to point me, in the wise choices. And then she says one is a female, and I really didn't understand what she told me about the female, but she's like the voice of reason. Yeah, go believe that.
I was gonna say I totally understand so much suddenly.
So there you go. Thank you, Deb.
So Deb says
I do pay attention.
Deb says most people have 2, 3, or 4 guides.
Why do we need so many?
Because
Okay, I understand why I need
I was
so
gonna say,
many.
apparently not everybody listens to one of them. Just obviously. I think different specialties. So there's something I mentioned earlier is, different guys have different specialties. You may need one for more guardian type stuff or
Mhm.
one for more guidance.
Mhm.
Not everybody's going to be a kitchen witch. Sonia in chat says that she has 3 that she knows of. 2 of one, two animal types and 1 mystical.
Wow.
So
Mystical how? 2 animal types I understand, like animal guardians, animal familiars kind of things. But yeah, mystical, what does that mean?
yeah, she's a Canuck, so she can't call in. Actually, I don't think anybody can call in tonight, by the way.
Oh,
I don't know what I did wrong. Apparently I did something.
well, we'll figure it out later.
It's Friday. It's been kind of a fun week.
Well, Brent's phones have been all messed up this last week too, so
Mm-hmm. So she says for different things. Naysay says he has a plethora.
I believe that, Naysay.
So, I think, we have primary guides and we also have, sub-primary or intermittent guides.
So you mean ones with baseball bats standing behind the other ones going, "Don't tell him that."
Yeah, kind of. No, it's, I think, sometimes we need an extra nudge.
You think?
Yeah. So Sonia, she has twins,
Mhm.
and she received one of the guides after the twins were born. So,
Oh. kind of a nanny there. I would imagine somebody, an older, wiser, maternal type nanny to say, well, maybe go this way. I'm speculating, but that's kind of interesting if that's the way it is.
And then the Phoenix, the other is a Phoenix, and it came after a different, rather large issue that occurred.
So the rising after the ashes.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep. Yeah, she goes, yeah, he came to show the way and encourage. So,
Nice.
yes,
Nice.
I totally get the Phoenix. And, I think that over time I've had a couple different types of guides. I think,
Right, yeah, because situational, one might go, well, you know what, she's done everything I've suggested. Next, sucker.
right. Well, like when I was, oh gosh, and just like that, we're out of time.
Oh, really? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So we're probably going to pick this up tomorrow night and talk about meditation also.
And I'll ruin that one too.
Oh, no, you won't. But anyways,
We'll meditate on it.
we'll meditate on it. So anyways, thanks for joining. We'll be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Pacific time talking about meditation and how to do it. So this is Paisley Wild, and we're listening to the spaces between. So Mary meets and Mary parts, and Mary meet again.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Be